It seems like every single day I hear something new about North Korea, and yet I don't know the history of it yet. So today, we're gonna change that. Hey guys, what is going on? And welcome back, and I appreciate you guys being here. I just want you to know, I think you're awesome. But now that we've gotten that out of the way, I wanted to tell you guys about this amazing video I just ran into that somehow managed to compress the large history of Korea into a video in under 5 minutes. Shocking? I think so. This video was actually done by an amazing channel that goes by the name of Stay Curious. If you want to check out the original video, I'm going to be linking it down below in the description box. And otherwise, how about we dive right in?
Believe it or not, the Korean peninsula has been inhabited for over 100,000 years. Early kingdoms established an incredibly strong Korean military presence in East Asia that was able to keep Russia, Mongolia, and China from invading. Fast forward to the 1st century AD, they were united under some really powerful dynasties until 1897 when the Korean Empire was established.
Oh, cool. Nice.
However, the Korean Empire didn't last long because in 1910, Japan invaded the peninsula and took over everything. They were terrible. They suppressed Korean traditions and language and only ran the economy to benefit themselves. Naturally, the Korean people weren't exactly okay with this, and there was a lot of guerrilla warfare to try and kick the Japanese out.
I bet, yeah, man.
Kim Il-sung, but more on him later. Things were pretty peachy for the Japanese until the end of World War II when they were finally kicked out. That's when the peninsula was divided into two parts. The United States supported the capitalist South, and the Soviet Union supported the communist North.
See, I didn't know that.
That never seems to end well. The Northerners weren't exactly happy about this arrangement and thought, why don't we just control everything? So they invaded the South, and that's when the Korean War started. And it was really devastating for everyone involved, since more than 3 million people ended up dying in just 3 short years. The war eventually ended in 1953, and North and South Korea
3 million?
nationally recognized as two different countries separated by the demilitarized zone. Ironically, it quickly became the most militarized zone in the history of the world.
That is pretty ironic.
For the North Korean people wasn't that bad immediately following the war. In fact, they were better off than the South Korean people in the 60s and 70s, since Kim Il-sung was best buds with Stalin and had a ton of Soviet resources to help.
It's good to have friends, you know?
Surprisingly though, not all of those resources were used to boost the economy. You see, Kim Il-sung was super interested in nuclear power and used the Soviets' money to do a bunch of research, development, and tests. This naturally wasn't exactly okay with the rest of the world, so the UN asked them to stop, and North Korea said no. Then the UN asked again.
Are they even allowed to do that, dude?
And then no. Okay, back to the North Korean people. Even though they were doing better economically for the first 20 years of division, they were also losing their individualism and freedom. You see, Kim Il-sung was a bit of a narcissist, and so he put a cult of personality into place. That basically means everyone has to worship the dear leader, and anyone who doesn't is violently punished. Also, he was the guy who established the Juche, which is the ideology that North Korea should basically be Miss Independent, to be entirely self-sustaining and not accept any help from anyone ever. Except, of course, from China and the Soviet Union. What? As you can probably guess, this ideology didn't exactly work out, and the economy started to plateau and decline in the late 80s, and then took a complete nosedive in 1991 when the Soviet Union collapsed. A few years later, Kim Il-sung conveniently kicked the bucket, and his son Kim Jong-Il took over as the narcissist in charge. I'm quite certain he was more than ready to take on the role. Kim Jong-Il was just as bad as his father, and the mid-90s ended up being a really rough time for North Korea. There was a ton of flooding which absolutely decimated their crops and led to a famine that killed anywhere from 250,000 to 3.5 million people.
Are you
The situation was so bad that the dear leader had to accept large quantities of food aid from the United Nations. In the 21st century, things became mildly better for the North Korean people, but not much. While the famine was over, people still struggled to get enough to eat since the government underpaid most of its citizens and gave them very little freedom in choosing a career. In 2011, Kim Jong-il died and his son Kim Jong-un took over. Yes, this guy, who's apparently best pals with Dennis Rodman.
Dude, like what is
Just
going
like his ancestors,
on?
Kim Jong-un is a big fan of nuclear weapons and threatening the West with them, but he did something none of them were able to accomplish. He met with both the president of South Korea and the president of the United States of America. During the meetings, they reportedly talked about reunifying the Koreas and throwing out all the nukes. But sadly, not a lot came from those meetings. For now, North Korea remains one of the most repressive states in the entire world and is continuously ranked as one of the worst human rights violators. They don't allow their citizens to travel freely within the country, they imprison people for the most arbitrary offenses, and they rely on forced labor to keep their economy running. Things are so bad that we are seeing an ever-growing North Korean refugee population. In South Korea alone, there are over 31,000 North Korean refugees living and working in what is, to them, a completely different world.
31,000, like Jesus Christ, that is a large number of people. Like, I just imagine like 5 people at a barbecue and I'm like, nope. So I learned a new word, juche, and apparently it's the ideology where a country is independent of the help of anyone else, so in this case, North Korea. And I had never actually imagined this was possible. I had thought about it as a kid, but now that I'm older and I see it, yeah. So the host Jacob had actually mentioned something about a demilitarized zone, and I instantly had a flashback of when Trump actually traveled to North Korea to meet with Kim Jong-Un, and I was freaked. I just remember when Trump with his tiny little hands just like went over there, shook his hand, and like went over the ledge, and I was like, he's gonna get shot. Like, I genuinely felt concerned for his life for a split second there. I may love traveling, but I'm not sure if I would ever muster up enough courage to actually go and visit. Personally, I just feel North Korea has taken some extreme measures with a few of the things that they've done. For example, making their leaders as gods. What's up with that, man? And of course, nuclear weapons, but I don't want to get into that. But on the bright side, I have to give credit where credit is due. I do believe that Kim Jong-Un is making some massive progress. Like, he is already socializing with other countries, and that just sparks a little bit of hope in me that someday North Korea will have a change of heart. See what I did there? I should definitely not go now. Anyways, it's awesome that I was able to find such a compressed history on it. If you guys want to check out the original, once again, it is linked down below in the description box. Stay Curious has videos just like this, and I'm pretty sure they have some more coming out, so subscribe to them if you want to show them some support. It'd be pretty awesome. Tell them I sent you. But before you click away, I want to hear from you guys. Leave a comment down below if you had the chance to visit North Korea. Would you go? I know I'm staying exactly where I'm at. But go right ahead and leave that comment. I plan on reading through them. And don't forget, Patreon page, some cool perks on there. Just saying. Hit that like button to show your support. And don't forget to subscribe so you get notified about every single video that I release. And until next time, my friends, hasta la pasta. And I'll be seeing you guys on the flip side. Bye.